From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. A clinic in Boulder that was one of only a handful in the country to provide abortions in later pregnancy has closed. Dr. Warren Hern, who operated Boulder Abortion Clinic for 50 years, announced earlier this month that he was retiring and that the clinic would stop scheduling patients. The closure means one less clinic in Colorado at a time when more women are traveling here from states where abortion care is restricted. We reached out to Hern now that the clinic has closed after a half century, and he didn't mince words when I interviewed him about doing this work. Hern has seen death threats, had bullets fired at his clinic, and seen other abortion providers murdered. You'll hear him speak angrily and at length about groups who oppose abortion access and those who use violence as a tactic. He spoke to me Tuesday from his office in Boulder. People have strong feelings about late-term abortions. Polling shows about 2/3 of Americans think abortion should be legal in the first trimester, but that drops to less than a quarter who support it in the third and final trimester. Why do you feel offering abortion in late pregnancy is an essential service?
Well, over the years, I saw many women who were really desperate to end a pregnancy later in pregnancy, and I developed procedures and techniques and instruments and protocols for doing that safely. Because in many cases, their life was in danger from just being pregnant, whether they wanted to be pregnant or not. That being the case, there's absolutely no justification for forcing a woman to carry a pregnancy to term. The treatment of choice for the condition of pregnancy, which is not benign, which kills people, is abortion unless the woman wants to have a baby. The other thing is that many of the women who came to me had catastrophic fetal anomalies, which were incompatible with life, or which would have a life of pain and suffering. And this was just unbearable for the women who wanted to end those pregnancies. And so I helped them, and I developed the techniques for doing so. And we also saw many, many women who had special circumstances that were the pregnancy discovered late in pregnancy. For example, a 13-year-old kid had been raped by a family member, sexually molested, incest. And then there are many others in between, adult women who are, managing their own lives. Yes. And feel that their pregnancy is a threat to their way of living and caring for other children and being able to be who they want to be. And so it was very gratifying, and these people very, very grateful for the help for them and their families.
I know that you have seen so many patients over the years. I am curious why there aren't more doctors who perform these types of abortions.
Well, I can't speak for other people. It's difficult work. It's surgically difficult. It's not just over in a few minutes or an hour or two.
Right.
My patient would come in and they'd be here for 3 or 4 days. We've developed better techniques now with the new medications, such as mifepristone and misoprostol.
Sure.
But I was doing it at a time we didn't have that. We didn't even have ultrasound when I started doing this. And so the technology has changed a lot. But the process itself is difficult. It is very stressful from an emotional point of view. These patients are going through the worst moment of their life. We are surrounded, as we were this morning in the front of my office, with fanatic Christians who are there to make the patients feel guilty, to feel shame, and to cause them more emotional pain than they already have. This is unconscionable, but that's what they do. We work behind 4 layers of bulletproof windows.
Wow.
5 of my medical colleagues have been assassinated, and I'm on all the hit lists. One of my best friends, Dr. George Tiller, was assassinated when he was helping the worshipers in his own Lutheran church in Wichita, Kansas. Anyway, I think there are many factors. Actually, Boulder has been very supportive, in Boulder, Colorado, and probably the most pro-choice community in the country. But the anti-abortion fanatics that want to kill me and my colleagues and those who help me come from all over the country.
Clearly, you have very strong feelings about choice and freedom of reproductive choice.
Yeah.
We know that Colorado has seen a recent increase in abortions as women from other states come here since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022.
Yeah.
How did that change affect your work and the patients that you see?
Soon after Roe versus Wade was overturned, we had a very large increase in the number of patients. We were booked 2 or 3 weeks out, and that was not good for anybody. But eventually, the other clinics opened, and people were taking advantage of the fact that Colorado is very protective of choice, and pro-choice community is strong. And I think that the other thing is that access to medication abortion has meant that people don't need surgical first trimester abortion, which I specialized in doing for a long time. And so the number of people who are offering these late abortion services now have increased a lot. And so there was less need for people to come to Boulder to see me, for example.
What was the moment you decided to retire and close down the clinic?
Well, I've been trying to work myself out of a job for about 20 years. There were a lot of times when we had fresh powder in the mountains, and I said, what have I done wrong with my life that I'm not after busting powder, at Winter Park or Mary Jane or something.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the situation just changed so radically over a period of time. We're really having an abortion intensive care unit here with highly skilled people who've been doing this for years and years and years, and who really know what they're doing and give patients very special care and support. And it's a very expensive process. In the meantime, the patients are having to travel farther away with less money. They're having a hard time. The patients don't have any money, which means you're completely dependent on outside sources. And some people are more successful getting at that than I have been. But the funding sources are drying up. I mean, here, the National Abortion Federation had to cut its help for us by 50% last year, as they did for everybody else. Well, that's caused a tremendous stress for all of us.
Sure.
But they had no choice.
You've said that in retirement you will continue to support the right to an abortion, just not as the operator of a clinic. Any thoughts on how you plan to do that?
Well, I have a lot of writing to do. I have a number of books that I want to write. And I had one book published last year, which is called Abortion in the Age of Unreason, a doctor's account of caring for women before and after Roe versus Wade. The Republicans and the Christians have worked for over 50 years to make abortion illegal throughout the country, and they've had great success. It's illegal in 20 states, and they're working to make it impossible in the rest. So the American people have voted for that. And right now, they haven't given sufficient support to a woman's choice to have a safe abortion. And that's a fundamental component of women's health care.
Dr. Warren Hern, who announced recently he's retiring after running the Boulder Abortion Clinic for 50 years. We'll put links to more coverage of the clinic's closure in our show notes and at KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thank you so much for listening.